2024 Guadalupe County Youth Show, Goat Show. We are blessed to have the presence of Mr. Perry Dean here to sing the national anthem for us. He's the Seguin High School choir director. Please stand and take your cover off if you're willing, and he will give us an intro.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dean. We're going to get started here with our breeding does. In Class 1, we have 17 entries. Here today to judge our show is Mr. Eric Zimmerman. He is the District Extension Administrator for the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service in College Station. He served as a county extension agent in Tom Green, Llano, Grimes, and Brazos counties. He is a native of Menard and received his Bachelor's of Science and Master's of Science degrees from Texas A&M University in the Department of Rangeland Ecology and Management. He has judged over 400 lamb and goat shows throughout the United States. Eric is married to his wife, Stephanie, and they have a 21-year-old twins, Jackson and Ramsey, who exhibited lambs and goats during their 4-H career. They're currently juniors at Texas A&M. Please help me warm welcome Mr. Zimmerman to judge our show this morning. Entering the ring now is our Class 1 of breeding does, 17 entries. I'll be announcing throughout the day a few things about the rabbit show, just because if anybody's in here, we want to make sure that you know what's going on. All rabbit exhibitors must be in line by 11:30. If you know of somebody who's not here yet, they've got 9 minutes to get in line.
Testing. All right. Certainly a pleasure to be here this morning on a nice, crisp, and brisk January County show. It's warmer than it was this morning at 6 a.m., so that's good. We're kind of getting there. A really competitive class here, a really nice set of females here. For me, you take a look, there's lots of differences in relation to all 16 in this class. I think these three individuals work their way to the top, and certainly they don't disappoint in terms of their handle. The young ladies doe here, for me, we elected to win this class. It's just the more combinational goat in my mind. She's got that length of body. Certainly, she's got that length of front end. She's extended up through her front neck and shoulders, really feminine through that head. You take a look at her in terms of her stoutness from the ground up, and I think that's where she excels, our second place goat. You put your hands on her. She's grooved up down her top. She's extremely long body. She ties in extremely well to her hip point junction. To me, you take a look at her. She's dimensional at her hip. When you move her about the arena, that's where she doesn't change, and that's where I really like her. She really keeps her head up. She doesn't drop her chest forward. She tracks us from natural base width. Again, she's got some rib, but yet still some coolness to look at from the side. For me, I like her to win the class. A real challenging kind of goat in second, because I'm telling you right now, if you put your hands on her, you got to love her. She's just so grooved up, big top. One again for frame size, extended up through her front end, really feminine, ties in extremely well in terms of her blades. Where did she get beat today? I'd like to get her just a bit more extension in terms of length of body. Certainly one a little bit shorter from her hooks to her pins, but she's good. She tracks with some base width. She's got some rib to her. She's got some femininity, just like her in just a bit bigger package and maybe just a bit stouter from the ground up. The challenging goat for me is the one that's in third, and I say that because this goat looks the part. She's extended. She's clean through her chest floor. She's big in her forearm. Certainly one that, again, has got some natural base width. When you handle her, she just doesn't have that definitive shape down her top is what we see in the first two goats. Certainly one, to me, just a little bit softer to handle, but certainly one in terms of rib, in terms of femininity, in terms of balance. She fits the bill quite nicely. Young ladies goat in fourth. We'll go ahead and comment about that one as well. Again, goat that's built right, to me, just a bit shorter in terms of her hip design. Certainly one's just a little bit rounder out her hip and her overall body shape, but certainly one's got some product on her skeleton as well. Nice breeding goat show here. Nice class one. Congratulations to these exhibitors. Good job.
Results from Class 1 breeding does: 16th place, Braden Manning, Navarro 4-H. 15th place, Colson Owen, New Berlin 4-H. 14th place, Emma Bagley, New Berlin 4-H. 13th place is Cameron Cerna, New Berlin 4-H. 12th place, Maisie Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. 11th place, Shiloh Purdom, Navarro FFA. 10th place, Brinley Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. 9th place, Mason Lott, Marion FFA. 8th place, Reese Kelm, Navarro 4-H. 7th place, Tatiana Soto, Steel FFA. 6th place, Lily Lunday, Kingsbury 4-H. 5th place, Kaylee Lott, Marion FFA. 4th place, Ava Delgado, sorry, Ava, Clemens FFA. 3rd place is Kaylee Lott from Marion FFA. 2nd place, Reese Kelm, Navarro 4-H. And 1st place, winning our first class of breeding does, is Ava Delgado from Clemens FFA. Now coming in the ring is Class 2 with 2 entries. These are our middle-aged does.
think it's a real straightforward class. A solid colored goat female to win this class. Just so good in terms of her rib, yet still good in terms of her elevation. Certainly one that's got some length of front. She's extremely nice in terms of the way her blade ties in. One that's got some length of body. Where she dominates the class, she got her shape down her top. You take a look at her three-quarter view in terms of her hip dimensions. She's just so much more powerful in terms of her hip and her hooks and pin placement. Certainly one that's got some stifle. When you get this goat on the move, again, she tracks with some natural base width. I like her to win the class. Young ladies, white goat in second. Again, long body goat. It's got some extension up through her front, some cleanliness up through that neck and shoulder area. I like her in terms of her length of body. One that to me gets a little bit flatter in terms of her rib shape, gets a little bit more peak behind her shoulders. Certainly not near as dimensional at her hip, but she's got lots of good elevation, length of body. She's a little thinner on the thin side in relation to our class winner. I think if you put just a bit more condition on her, it's going to blow her up even more in terms of her handle. But I like her in terms of her length of body and extension. Nice competitive class here. Let's give these young ladies a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 2 of breeding does. Second place, Chloe Atzker, Marion FFA. First place, Kaylee Lott, Marion FFA. Next in the ring will be Class 3. There are 2 entries in our oldest doe class. We'd like to recognize our doe buckle donors. Our champion buckle came from Gurman Goats. Commissioner Stephen Gurman from Precinct 4 and wife Shirley and son David Gurman and family. Our reserve champion doe buckle was donated by Kevin and Michelle Hazy, Lynn and Holly McCall, Blake and Shannon McCall, and Preston and Miranda Richardson. Thank you all for y'all's support. At the conclusion of this class, we will choose our champion and reserve champion breeding does, and then we will immediately start into our wither show. If you have market goats in Class 1, please begin to line up.
So moving to our age division, I think, again, you've got a couple out here that are stark contrast of each other. But one, there's some good things about both of them. Young ladies, doe here to win the class. Just so good in terms of her ribs. She's so exceptional in terms of her hip design. She's extremely stout from the ground up. Again, got some shape down her top line. I really like her in terms of her base width. She tracks up out the arena with some natural base width as well. Again, I guess if you want to get critical, she has a little tendency to get just a little bit looser in terms of her blade placement. But certainly that's one of those, as they get aged, not going to be quite as youthful as you would see if they were, a doe kid. So again, is she good enough? Certainly so. Again, I like her rib. I like her balance, and I certainly like her hip design. A really long-bodied, really feminine kind of goat in the second place hole. You take a look at this goat and you think, okay, this goat's not going to have near as much muscle as what we're going to need to compete with the one ahead of him. But this goat's got plenty of muscle down her top. She's got a big old top in her. She handles extremely well. Where do we beat her today when you take a look at her in relation to our class winner? She's just a little bit less dimensional at her hips. She wants to taper towards her tail head just a bit more. She's certainly just a bit flatter in terms of her style. travel. I love her length of body. I love her elevation. I like her balance and her touch down her top. Just needed a bit more power in the middle and lower portion of her leg. Very competitive class here, ladies. It's good. Let's give them a round of applause as well. Good job.
Results from Class 3 breeding does. Second place is Sydney Nichols from Clemens 4-H. And first place is McKenna Kelm from Navarro 4-H. We will now have our first and second place does coming back into the ring for the championship drive. First place out of Class 1 is Ava Delgado from Clemens FFA. First place from Class 2 is Kaylee Lott, Marion FFA. And first place from Class 3 is McKenna Kelm from Navarro 4-H. Second places are also here with us. And so second place from Class 1 is Reese Kelm from Navarro 4-H. Second place from Class 2 is Chloe Atzker, Marion FFA. And second place from Class 3 is Sydney Nichols from Clemens 4-H.
It's a really nice set of females out here. I knew we'd be evaluating quite a few good ones, and these certainly didn't disappoint, especially when you talk about the individuals that move up to the front of their classes. And our kid and our girl and our age females here, certainly ones that have got some quality in relation to their contemporaries in class. The young lady that won Class 1, just long bodied, cool rib, balanced up, extended, really nice female. Really one that when you get her on the move, she doesn't change. She really gets out and tracks nicely. Again, she's extremely athletic and yet still feminine to look at from the side. Bounces up really, really well, runs uphill, and then you put your hands on her. She doesn't disappoint. Young man's goat in second. Again, just a notch shorter, just a little bit different in terms of hip placement in relation to our class winner, but certainly has some shape down his top. We like to have him just a bit stouter from the ground up. The female in the middle class here, again, to just stout made, big hip, one just stout down her top line. She does carry some condition there. It makes her look just a little more wasty through her front and middle portion of her chest floor, but one that to me, again, you got some condition on. You got to do that in a breeding program. I just really like her. Maybe make her just a notch stouter from the ground up, but certainly one that's got some quality as well. Again, the one that was in the second that class there, again, a little flatter rib, not near as dominant in terms of shape. Then we move to our age division. Again, one that's big hip, one that's really, really powerful. powerful. Again, one that's a really high quality female. She had a little bit of coarseness, maybe a little bit more down fronted in relation to our first two classes, but certainly ones that a female that's got some nice quality, especially in that hip design. Then we can move in that second place goat. Really powerful down top, deceivingly stout. This is the one that just gets a little flatter in her stifle. For me, it gets down to the combination goat. That's the one that's going to be your champion today, the one that just looks best, handles best, tracks the best. Young lady out of class one. Let's give her a round of applause. That's your champion. Good job. And then you get into some decision making. You bring that second place out of there. Yeah, she's got some shape down her top, but she's still a little bit smaller package. You take a look and compare her to the contemporaries in second and third classes. For me, it gets down to one that's just a little bit better, a little bit more complete today in relation to her handle and touch. It's a young lady with the solid colored goat. That's your reserve. Congratulations.
So our champion of the Doe Show of 2024 Guadalupe County Goat Show is Ava Delgado from Clemens FFA. Presenting the buckle for the champion doe is Mr. Stephen Gurham, County Commissioner, Precinct number 4. That buckle was donated by Commissioner Gurman and his wife Shirley and son David Gurman and family. Reserve champion today was Kaylee Lott from Marion FFA. And that buckle was donated by Kevin and Michelle Hazy, Lynn and Holly McCall, Blake and Shannon McCall, and Preston and Miranda Richardson. Those families are also here to present their buckle today. While they take their pictures, next we will transition into our Market Goat Show. Please know that showmanship will be directly after our champion goat selection. If you are planning on participating in showmanship, you come and it's a walk-up entry. You don't have to sign up early. The youngest category is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. The next category, the intermediates, is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then the senior division is anyone in high school. Now entering the ring is our Class 1. We have 9 entries and we'll be placing 7 that will be eligible for auction. Here at the Guadalupe County Show, if you receive a ribbon, you also receive a white card. That white card is a sales card. It must be returned, filled out and returned. If you know you're selling your goat, please fill it out and return it to this announcer stand today during the show. If you have other projects and you're debating about it, you can turn them in later to the livestock office. But if you turn in a goat card, it needs to come here today. If you need to make that decision on another day, you can turn it into the livestock office. Our backdrop is back here in the corner. You must take a picture with whatever project you're going to sell. So if there is any question in your mind what you are selling, please take a picture with your goat today.
It's a really nice class in our market goat show to start the day off with. For me, again, it gets down to handle, firmness, design, length of body. The young ladies go here to win the class, exceptional in all those aspects. elevated, long-bodied. Again, you get you put your hands on him. He's exceptionally firm to the touch. He's big in terms of his rack, explosive in terms of his loin. You take a look at him in terms of his hip and stifle. He's acceptable. I really like him from the ground up. I really like him as he tracks away from you. Again, a really elevated kind of individual that really handles well. How would like to change him? Maybe tighten him up to his forearm just a bit. Wants to get just a little bit deeper right there, but certainly one that's got a lot of shape and a lot of power. A little smaller, compact kind of goat in second. One that's really fresh to the handle. I think this goat's a little smoother to the touch. And I think he's just to get a bit more dominant in terms of his shape in relation to his frame size when you compare him to our third place goat. I like him again in terms of his hip design and in terms of his stifle. He just needs to be in a little bit bigger package. Goat in third probably could conceivably roll up in that second place hole or keep him here in the third. And we do keep him here in the third place hole because he's just, when you put your hands on him, you'd anticipate him to have just a bit more shape down his top. He doesn't have quite the volume of muscle and expression down his top line. He gets just a little bit flatter in terms of his stifle. For me, again, one that I like him in terms of his length of body and his elevation. I just need more product in that skeleton in relation to his frame size to make him roll him up in that second place hole. Then you get into a goat that's in the fourth place. Now I'm going to talk about him as well. This goat's built right. He's exceptional in terms of his eye peel, his design, his touch. There's just not enough there for him in relation to the ones ahead of him. He's got lots of good days ahead of him if he continues through the feeding process because he's built right. He's just so green as a gourd. He's not there yet. He's not there today in terms of his handle, but certainly one that's extremely nice in his overall build. Really competitive class. Congratulations to our trio up in the top end. Let's give these kids a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 1. 7th place, Braden Manning, Navarro 4-H. 6th place, Allison Rauschhuber, Navarro FFA. 5th place, Cameron Cerna, New Berlin 4-H. 4th place, Peyton Pape, Seguin FFA. 3rd place, Lottie Owen, New Berlin 4-H. 2nd place, Colson Owen, New Berlin 4-H. And first place, Stacen Taylor, Steel FFA. Next up is Class 2. We have 9 entries. We'll be placing 7. The weight break was from 68 pounds to 75. We'll make announcements throughout the day, but if you have any inkling that you are going to sell the project that you walk out of the ring with, please stop and take a picture. You will need a picture before the auction on Saturday. If you are going to sell a goat or you think you're going to sell a goat, please take a picture with your goat.
It's a really nice class, challenging class. Again, for me, there's these two work their way to the top, and then there's the decision-making process in relation to the remainder of the class. For me, again, the one that wins the class didn't hit me that hard at first. He just kind of kept growing on me. She got him into him just a bit more. We got just a bit better handle on him. I think from when you compare him to the second place counterpart, he's the more combinational goat. He's certainly longer bodied. I think he's just really extended and clean up to his chest floor. One that's got some length of body. Again, one that's got some length of hip. To me, he's stout enough from the ground up. I like his elevation. I like how he runs uphill. Again, long bodied, really, really cool to look at from the side. Want to give him just a bit more definition of top, but certainly one that's getting minor because he's built right and he certainly handles quite nice as well. Young lady's goat in second. This really is a stout goat, big-ended goat. To me, one's huge in terms of his hip design, huge, excellent in terms of his dimension out his hip. He's the one that gets a little bit wastier, a little bit deeper through the middle portion of his body. Again, I like to elevate him up to his front third just a bit more, strengthen him up down his top line just a bit more. I thought he would handle with the more a dominant top than he really does. He's a little deceiving, and partly it's because of that hip and that big boldness and that stifle. For me, he gets a little easier in his top, a little bit in the middle, deeper in the middle portion of his body. So we need to change that about him. But I like him in terms of his stoutness from the ground up. Certainly like him in terms of his hip. It's a really cool handling goat in third. That solid colored goat's really smooth to the handle, really fresh to the touch. Where we kind of give this goat gives us some problems. He gets a little bit higher in his flank. He doesn't balance up quite as well. He's a little straighter from his hocks down to his hoof on his hind legs as he travels away from you. I like to give him just a little bit, relax him just a little bit as he travels on those hind legs. But I love his handle. Fourth place goat, long, extended, just doesn't have enough shape down his top. A little less dimensional goat in the fifth place hole, a little looser in terms of his blade placement. Nice duo up here in the top end of this class. Let's give all of our exhibitors here a round of applause out of class number 2.
Results from Class 2. 7th place, Blake Roshuber, Navarro FFA. 6th place, Andrea Salvador, Marion FFA. 5th place, Sydney Nichols, Clemens 4-H. 4th place, Brennan Perkins, Marion FFA. 3rd place, Joshua Kotzer, Shooting Sports 4-H. 2nd place, Brinley Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. And 1st place in Class 2 is Abigail Owen, New Berlin 4-H. Next up is Class 3. We have 7 entries. We'll be placing 5. Weight breaks from 78 pounds to 81 pounds. Directly after this class, we will pick a Division I champion and reserve. We will show showmanship directly after our grand champion and reserve grand champion selection. We will show youngest to oldest. So juniors are 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Intermediates are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then seniors are 9th through 12th grade.
We moved into class 3. I'll be honest, the paint goat didn't hit me hard. The goat in second did. And then you start really taking a look at this goat and what he brings to the table in terms of design, in terms of what he brings to the table when he moves about the arena. And then you put your hands on him, and that's where you kind of say, okay, yeah, he's pretty good because he's really fresh to the top. He's really smooth down his top from his rack all the way out through his tail head. Blends extremely well in that hip point junction. To me, sometimes these goats in that paint can be a little bit deceiving in terms of what they appear to be in relation to their balance and length of body. He's exceptionally long-bodied. He's exceptional in terms of his length of body, in terms of his length of front. You take a look at him and you think, okay, he's kind of a little different in terms of his coloration. You track him on the move. You get behind him. He puts those legs exactly where they need to be. He's got that natural base width. He's got some dimension on his hip. He's extremely fresh to the touch. I like his elevation, his length of body, his freshness to touch. I like him to win the class. The goat in second's the one that hits you hard first just because he's so stout-made. He's really bold and stout-featured. Again, one that's just exceptional in terms of his balance in relation to his frame size. He's the shorter fronted kind of goat. He's the one that, to me, I thought would have just a bit more rack shapes than he does. He's exceptionally deep in terms of his loin. I like that about him. He just gets a little bit more peaked right behind those shoulders in relation to the one that's ahead of him. Certainly one that's big-hipped as well. Great in terms of his pin set. When you get him on the move, he just kind of gets a little bit different on those hind legs as compared to our class winner, but certainly one that's really stout-made. I like that. A goat in third. This goat's built right. This goat looks the part. This goat just doesn't have near the shape down his top. I think he's the greenest of our top 3. He's the one that gets a little bit easier in his top line. He peaks right behind his shoulders just a bit more than ideal. Certainly in terms of his balance and his eye appeal and his hip, I think there's lots of good aspect. He's just not quite there in terms of his handle in relation to the ones ahead of him. This is a nice trio up here. Congratulations to these young ladies and the remainder of class number 3. Good job.
Results from Class 3. 5th place, Chloe Atzker, Marion FFA. 4th place, Reese Isham, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Peyton Pape, Seguin FFA. 2nd place is Maisie Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. And 1st place is Harper Shaw, New Berlin 4-H. We will now welcome our 1st and 2nd place goats in our light division. Class 1, 2, and 3 will go for our Division 1 champion and reserve champion. Coming out of Class 1, Stacen Taylor from Steel FFA in first place. And second place is Colson Owen from New Berlin 4-H. Out of Class 2, first place, Abigail Owen from New Berlin 4-H. And second place is Brinley Bierstead from New Berlin 4-H. And out of Class 3, our first place winner is Harper Shaw from New Berlin 4-H. And second place is Maisie Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H.
It's a nice set out here. I think the goats that won their individual weight classes, I think, did so because they combined that look as well as they're handled. For me, they're just a bit more complete in terms of what they bring to the table. For me, it gets down to really evaluating the one that handles the best today in relation to these contemporaries in this champion drive. 6 really good goats here. This is the combination goat. It's got the look, the handle. He's really fresh to the touch. Again, one that moves about the arena. He's elevated. He's certainly long-bodied. I like him to be your champion role. A young lady out of Class 3. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job. As we bring the second place out and compare him to Classes 2 and 1, again, it gets down to handle. The goat that wins our reserve role. And I told the young lady, I said, we got not a good handle a while ago, but man, that one right then and there is doing the part. Again, a balanced goat, big-ended goat, a good that's really firm to the handle, touch. He's not kind of the kind of goat that we see in our champion role. He's different, but I think he's the best one in relation to what's remaining in this champion drive for our reserve role. Young lady out of Class 3, let's give her a round of applause. That's your reserve. Congratulations.
So results for our Division 1 champion goes to Harper Shaw from New Berlin 4-H. And reserve champion is Maisie Bierstead from New Berlin 4-H. Next up, we will have Class 4. This begins our Division 2. There are 9 entries. We'll be placing 7 goats and weight breaks from 82 pounds to 86 pounds. Please remember, if you receive a ribbon, you will also receive a white card. If you know that you are going to auction your goat, please fill that card out and turn it in today. The sooner we turn those in, the better off for the office. So if you know you're going to sell your goat, please turn that in. Also, if you think you're going to sell your goat, please take a backdrop picture. All entries that will be going through the auction need to have a backdrop picture with their projects.
Scope that wins this class. He's just so stout. He's so opened up to his front end, yet he's still clean to his chest floor. He's superior and just dominant in terms of his forearm shape. Again, one that's just good enough in terms of length of body in relation to the class in this class. For me, again, he's big-ended. He's just exceptionally powerful at his hip. You put your hands on him, he is the most dominant. He's ripped up down his top line. He's extremely smooth down his top in terms of his handle. He blends extremely well in the hip-point junction. Again, just stout-featured, big hip, big and stout in his overall design as well. I guess if you want to change him, he wants the tendency to just get a little easier in his top, right behind his shoulders. But when you get him going and really put your hands on him, he's got so much product. I like him in terms of his stoutness. This is the goat in seconds, really smooth handling as well. That's where he excels, our third place goat. Again, one that's up-fronted and long-bodied. He's the one that maybe wants to get a little bit higher in terms of his flank, to want to drop his flank just a little bit to maybe make him a bit more eye-appealing and bounce from the side. He's the one that's a little bit finer made from the ground up, not near as stout and featured as what we see in our class winner, but he's smooth down his top, grooved up in his hip, grooved up in his top, good in terms of his hip point junction, and that's where he excels, our third place goat. This goat's got some shape down his top as well. He's got a big old rack, and he just rolls in his loin a little bit, not near as smooth in his transition from his hooks to his loin in that hip point junction. He's the one that's a little bit shorter in terms of his overall hip. I like him on the move when he tracks away from him. He's got that natural base width. Just need to change him in terms of his loin handle to make him more competitive. This is a nice class here, the deepest one we've seen today. Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause. Nice job.
Results from Class 4. 7th place, Levi Garcia from Navarro 4-H. 6th place, Madeline Hughes, Steel FFA. 5th place, Reese Isham, Navarro FFA. 4th place, Paisley Inglekey from Navarro 4-H. 3rd place, Brooke Clements from Seguin FFA. 2nd place, Shiloh Purdom, Navarro FFA. And 1st place in Class 4 is Alex Guthrie from Marion FFA. Next up in the show ring is going to be Class 5. We have 9 entries. We're placing 7 with weight ranging from 87 pounds to 90 pounds.
I think a real straightforward class with this young lady's goat. It's him and everybody else, and I say that with the caveat that the young lady in second, she got him going, and I got my hands on him down the line. I said, okay, yeah, he's going to be up in that top 2 or 3 for sure. But when you take a look at the dude that wins the class, he's just so good. He's just so balanced. He's so good in terms of his rib. Long hip, long fronted, big, huge top, smooth, correct in his condition. Again, really a nice handling, nice looking goat. Want to make him just a bit stouter, and that's where our second place goat is, just a bit stouter from the ground up. That gets minor. I mean, again, when you got a goat that's got a big hip in him like this, a big top, and it's still cool in terms of his rib, you got to use him to win the class. Young lady, you did a good job of showing this goat. He's grooved up down his top. He's big-footed. He's really stout from the ground up. Well, he's not near as cool to look at from the side. You can see how he gets just a little bit deeper through his chest floor and through his forearm. To me, one I like to change that about him, but I like his length of body. I like his stifle. I don't think he's quite as dimensional at his hip as what we see in our class winner, but I think he's good enough on his feet and legs and his handle to put him at second place hole. It's a really firm handling goat in third. Again, one that's big-ended. Again, one that's smooth down his top line as well. Big in terms of his stifle. Where do we kind of fault him? He gets on when he moves just a little bit different on his hind legs. He doesn't flow quite as well about the arena. A little bit different in terms of his structure on those hind legs. I like to change that about him, but I like him from his three-quarter view. I certainly like him in terms of his handle and touch. Then we get in some goats down the line. Again, different in terms of the design, not near as powerful down their top. I like to make them just a little bit better in terms of their eye appeal from the side. Nice trio up here at the top end of Class 5. Congratulations to all of our exhibitors. Good job.
Results from Class 5. 7th place, Brooke Lightfoot, Marion FFA. 6th place, Brooke Clements, Seguin FFA. 5th place, Paisley Inglekey, Navarro 4-H. 4th place, Isabella Hartman, Navarro FFA. 3rd place, Luke Prohaska, New Berlin 4-H. 2nd place, Carly Alvarado, Marion FFA. And 1st place is Justine Covarrubias, Navarro 4-H. Next up is Class 6. We have 9 entries. We will place 7. Weight breaks for this class are 91 pounds to 95 pounds. After this class, we will pick our middleweight or Division II champion and reserve champion. As a reminder, if you get a ribbon, you will also get a little white card. That white card needs to be filled out and turned in today if possible. And you also need to take a backdrop photo with your goat. If you have any inkling that you will sell this goat, please take a backdrop photo today. Just an update on the rabbit show. They're sorting classes now. Then they will let you know what classes each entry number's on. And as they process through the classes while we're here, we'll announce how they're getting along.
So another highly competitive trio up here. The goat, again, just like similar to what we saw in the previous class. This goat wins, in my mind, the class real easily. He's just so good, so stout, big-footed. Just again, one that you put your hands on him. He's the most dominant in terms of shape. He's he's got the deepest loin. He's got the most powerful stifle in him. Again, big in terms of his forearm. Then you take a look at his build, his rib. He's really cool to look at from the side. He's got that natural curvature to the rib. It's exceptional to lay that top shape on, but yet still he doesn't get too deep to his full rib. I love him in terms of his three-quarter view. I love him from his dimension on his tail. I think he wins the class real easily. The goat in second, boy, it's a cool-looking dude as well. Again, I think he's exceptionally nice to appear from the side. He's a little bit more elevated up to his front third. He's so much more cooler to look at than maybe our first place goat, and that's kind of getting picky because that goat in the first place hole is really nice as well. Where does this goat get beat? He just doesn't have the shape down his top. He's the flattest stifle, one of our top two. Again, he's got some dimension on his hip. He just gets a little bit flatter in the middle and lower portion of his leg. But I like his extension. I like his coolness. I like his rib. Young lace goat in third. To me, a little bit bolder to his shoulder, just a little bit more common in his overall build. He's the one that tapers towards his tailhead just a bit more. Doesn't have near the grooved up top is what we see in first and second. But I think he's got enough good parts in him in relation to the remainder of the class, especially when you get him on the move and the way he tracks away from you, and that's where he excels our fourth place goat. This goat's got some shape down his top. He just gets a bit more base narrow as he moves about the arena. He gets a little bit different on his hind legs as he travels away from you as well. Nice competitive class, super nice trio up here. Let's give our class 5 exhibitors a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 6, 7th place, Scarlett Brinsley, Navarro 4-H. 6th place, Max Hester from Kingsbury 4-H. 5th place, Thomas Tebow, Lifegate 4-H. 4th place, Lily Lunday, Kingsbury 4-H. 3rd place, Carly Alvarado, Marion FFA. 2nd place, Reese Kelm, Navarro 4-H. And 1st place, Trace Guthrie from Marion FFA. We will now do our Division II, or a middleweight champion and reserve champion selection. Coming out of Class 4, 1st place, Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. 2nd place, Shiloh Purdom from Navarro FFA. Out of Class 5 will be Justine Covarrubias from Navarro 4-H in 1st place. And 2nd place is Carly Alvarado from Marion FFA. And rounding out our selection here in the ring, 1st place out of Class 6 is Trace Guthrie from Marion FFA. And 2nd place is Reese Kelm from Navarro 4-H.
the water certainly got, I think, a lot deeper when you talk about this six as compared to the ones in the lightweight division. And probably that happens too because you're giving up some weight in that division. These are some good ones, especially when you talk about the ones that moved up to that front end of their classes. They're built right. They're just so good in terms of their handle and touch. They're big-ended and really, really travel about the arena with some dominance as well. You start taking a look at these goats again, for me, when it comes down to your champion, your reserve, I think, again, there's just a few more things in relation to excellence in handle and design, in terms of build, in terms of stoutness. The champion just a little bit better down his top than our reserve, but that doesn't mean that reserve doesn't have a big old whopping top in him as well, because he's big rack and big loined as well, and certainly big hip. Both of these goats in your champion and reserve role, exceptional in their build, their design. They fit me extremely well. Let's give the young man out of Class 6 a round of applause. That's going to be your champion. Congratulations. Good job. We moved that paint goat up. Again, we got a good big old top. Need a little bit more stifle. I love his coolness and his elevation. As I said, the one I think follows our champion in terms of handle design and build is the one that's going to be our reserve overall in this division. That's the young lady out of class number 4. Congratulations to her. Good job.
Results from Division 2. Our champion goes to Trace Guthrie from Marion FFA. And reserve champion in Division 2 is Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. Next in the ring will be Class 7. We have 9 entries, and we'll be placing 7 for auction. Showmanship will come in directly after our grand champion and reserve grand champion selection. We will show in youngest to oldest order. Our junior showmanship is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Intermediate showmanship is 5th, 6th, no, sorry. Junior is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Intermediate is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And senior showmanship is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Our swine barn is opening today. If you have a trailer or a truck that is blocking the swine barn, it needs to be moved. There's a white Ford Raptor and a white Dodge pulling a Navarro FFA trailer. Those 2 vehicles need to be moved. If you have any vehicles blocking any part of the swine barn, they need to be moved. The tow truck's on its way, and we will relocate them if pigs arrive. Our buckles for the Market Goat Show, our champion buckle was donated by Double J Livestock, Alex Jones. And our reserve champion Market Goat buckle was donated by Rolo Insurance, Monica Thomas. Please remember to take a picture with your goat. If you are going to sell your goat, please take a backdrop photo with the goat before you leave today.
Moving to class 7, really nice goats in their own right. There's some give and take, I think, in second and third. But for me, there's just fewer holes in this dude that wins the class. He's not the longest body one, but he's long enough. He's a little deceptive in relation to his coloration and that cape over his shoulder. He measures extremely well from his 13th rib back. He's really stout. He's cool ribbed. Again, when you put your hands on him, he's just so good down his top. I love him in terms of his hip design. I like him in terms of his base width when he tracks around the arena. Where he excels our second place goat just a little bit better in terms of his blade and the way they tie in on the move as compared to our second place goat. This goat doesn't change as he travels about the arena. I like him in terms of his handle, touch, and design. I like him to win the class. This is a really long body goat in second. This is the one that's again, got some shape down his top. I think he's got plenty of stifle. I like him in terms of the extension up to his front. I like him in terms of his expression of his forerib. He's the one that gets a little bit looser when he moves about the arena in terms of that blade. He wants to get just a little bit easier in his top, but I think he's just a bit more powerful down his top and a little bit more dominant in terms of his stifle when you compare him to our third place goat. This goat's really thin-hided, firm-handling guy in his own right. Again, he's one that's just a little bit less dimensional at his hip as compared to first and second. He's the one that's a little bit flatter in terms of his stifle. He's a little bit finer in terms of his feature from the ground up, but certainly one that's got a really, really good touch to him, and I like that about him. A little plainer kind of goat, designed goat in fourth place, long body, just doesn't have the definition of top, but certainly one that needs to be in that top 4. Nice trio up here again. Let's give our Class 7 exhibitors a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 7. Seventh place, Emma Bagley, New Berlin 4-H. Sixth place, Emma Hartman, Navarro FFA. Fifth place, Brinley Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. Fourth place, Ava Delgado, Clemens FFA. Third place, Reese Kelm, Navarro 4-H. Second place, Rayleigh Childs, Kingsbury 4-H. And first place, Trace Guthrie, Marion FFA. Now entering the ring is Class 8. We have 9 entries. We'll be placing 7. Weight breaks for this class are 103 to 106. We want to thank the Guadalupe County Farm Bureau for donating the shavings for our show ring. We'll use this show ring all week, and we appreciate their support.
Couple nice goats. It gets down to strictly for me handling this class. Uh, Goat that wins it, extended, long body, just exceptional length from flank to flank. Big stifle, good enough in terms of hip dimension, and then you put your hands on this goat. He is so thin-hided, so firm to the touch, so smooth down his top, square in terms of his rack, really deep in his loin. I like him in terms of his appearance from the side. I like him in terms of his elevation. I like him in terms of his balance, and then he just does not disappoint in terms of his handle. I like him to win the class. A big-footed kind of goat in second. Again, the one that to me wants to get just a little bit higher in the rear flank, so maybe doesn't balance up quite as well. When you put your hands on him, he's a little softer to the handle. He's not near as dominant down his top in that rack shape and that depth of loin, that flatness of loin is what we see in our class winner. I love his stoutness. I love his hip. I love his extension. To me, he just needs to be a little bit firmer, a little bit grooved up, a little bit more dominant down his top. But I certainly like him in terms of his feature and his stoutness from the ground up. Young lady, you got a long body, nice one in the third place hole. He wants to kind of overdrive sometimes, so it makes him want to get just a little bit down in terms of his appearance. But again, when you put your hands on him, he's got plenty of shape down his top. I think he excels our fourth place goat in terms of base width when he moves about the arena. Young man in fourth again, as I said, he's got some freshness to handle, freshness to touch. He's the one that gets a little bit rounder at his hip, a bit more base narrow in terms of his overall appearance as he moves about the arena. Nice duo up here. Let's give our young people out of the Class 8 a round of applause. Good job.
All right, results from Class 8. Seventh place, Brent Ulrich from Santa Clara 4-H. Sixth place, Max Hessler from Kingsbury 4-H. Fifth place, Maisie Bierstead, New Berlin 4-H. Fourth place, Easton Watson, Navarro FFA. Third place, Landry Canham, Marion FFA. Second place, Trace Guthrie, Marion FFA. And first place, Shiloh Purdom, Navarro FFA. Now entering the ring is Class 9, our final class. There are 8 entries. We'll be placing 6. The weight breaks are 109 to 117. Immediately following this class, we will select our heavyweight or Division III champion and reserve champion. And then we'll have our grand champion drive. To come, our champion goat buckle was donated by Double J Livestock, Alex Jones. And our reserve champion market goat buckle was donated by Rollo Insurance, Monica Thomas.
big stout goat to win this Class 9. He's just better on the move. He's just better through his forerib and shoulder. He's just so much better in terms of his appearance. For me, again, he blends quite nicely in terms of that shoulder and blade placement. Big old hip in him. Again, you put your hands on him, he's just more powerful down his top than what we see in second and third. Just better in terms of his stifle. I really like him in terms of his loin. I like him in terms of his rack. He's got a good curve to his rib. For me, he wins the class really easily. You get in the next couple of goats here in second and third. This goat to me in second, really smooth to the handle, really smooth down his top line, blends quite nicely, that hip point junction. He gets a little bit plainer through his forerib, just doesn't really run uphill, doesn't have that cool factor to him as what we see in our class winner. He's the one that gets a bit shorter from hooks to pins as well, not near as dominant in terms of his stifle. Again, one then third place hole wants to get a little bit easier in terms of flex of his pastern, but certainly one that, again, he's got some shape down his top. And all three of these goats just a little bit stouter down their top line when you compare them to the remainder of the class. He's just a little bit coarser through the point of his shoulder is what we see in first and second, so I like to change that about him. But I like to handle down all the top of these three goats here. Really outstanding class winner. Let's give our Class 9 exhibitors a round of applause. Good job.
Results from Class 9. 6th place, Kaylee Lott, Marion FFA. 5th place, Madeline Hughes, Steel FFA. 4th place, Mandy Jenkins, Marion FFA. 3rd place, Madison Mays, Clemens FFA. 2nd place, Ava Delgado, Clemens FFA. And our class winner, Rayleigh Childs, Kingsbury 4-H. Now in the ring for the Division III or heavyweight champion, out of Class 7, first place, Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA, and second place, Rayleigh Childs, Kingsbury 4-H. Out of Class 8, first place, Shiloh Purdom, Navarro FFA, and second place, Trace Guthrie, Marion FFA. And rounding out Class 9, first place, Rayleigh Childs, Kingsbury 4-H, and second place, Ava Delgado, Clemens FFA.
give our exhibitors out of this heavy division a round of applause. This is, again, nice set of goats, really powerful, stout, just super to the touch and handle. And it gets down to handle, it gets down to smoothness, it gets down to depth of loin. It gets down to length of body in relation to what I think is the best one in this group. Get a little bit closer in terms of our reserve role. Again, I think you got one that's just a bit more grooved up and just ties in a little bit better in terms of his loin for that reserve role. But again, going back to our champion, he's not the stoutest made one out here, but man, he is long bodied. He's just so good and smooth and powerful down his top line. He's great in terms of his forearm. I like him in a lot of those aspects, and that's why he's going to be your champion. Let's give the young lady out of Class 8 a round of applause. Congratulations. That shouldn't be your champion out of this group. Good job. You bring that goat out of the middle, that Class 8 second place, and take a look at him. Maybe not near as nice to the handle as what we saw in our class winner, and you compare him to the remainder of the class. I think, again, there's one just a bit better in terms of handle, just a little bit better in terms of his hip-point junction, and that's going to be your reserve role. And again, and talk about rib and just balance and up front and just cool to look at from the side, and combines all that with a great handle. That's your reserve young lady out of Class 7. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job.
Results for Division 3, our heavyweight division. Our champion is Shiloh Purton for Navarro FFA. And reserve champion is Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. Next up, we will have our grand champion drive and reserve grand champion selection. And then we will start with showmanship. We will start with junior showmanship, which is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Directly following that, we will have intermediate, which is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then concluding the show will be senior showmanship, which is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. Next up, we will have our grand champion and reserve grand champion selections. If you have a junior showman that is 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, please be sure that they're getting ready for showmanship because it will be directly after our grand champion drive. Now entering the ring, we will have our grand champion drive for the 2024 Market Goat Show at the Guadalupe County Youth Show. Out of Division 1, our champion is Harper Shaw from New Berlin 4-H. Reserve champion of Division 1, Maisie Bierstead from New Berlin 4-H. Champion from Division 2 is Trace Guthrie from Marion FFA. And reserve champion out of Division 2, Alexis Guthrie, Marion FFA. And from Division 3, our champion, Shiloh Purdom from Navarro FFA. And reserve champion, Alexis Guthrie from Marion FFA. If you have a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grader who plans on participating in showmanship, they need to line up in the holding arena at this time.
Nice set of goats. Really been an outstanding show. Really pleasure to work with all the young people as well. Everybody's been happy and pleasant. You know, not everybody can win, and you know it's challenging when you've got got to make decisions from 9th all the way to 1st. But they've all been cordial, and certainly I appreciate that. I think it's important that we enjoy our time, in doing these things because, we don't have to do this. This is something we're afforded an opportunity to do. For me, it gets down to, again, one handle. Power, smooth, massive rack, just fresh to the touch. Again, one that's just really, really great to touch and handle. He's super long bodied, a really elevated kind of goat. And again, one that touches extremely well. I think the reserve is just as good in terms of his handle design. He's maybe a little bit different, but certainly one that's got a big hip and certainly a big rack. An outstanding set. Let's give them again a round of applause. A really, really good goat show. We'll go shake your champion, your reserve champion's hand. Been a great goat show. Thank you.
Grand champion is Shiloh Purdom from Navarro FFA. The Grand Champion Market Goat Buckle was donated by Double J Livestock, Alex Jones. And reserve champion goes to Trace Guthrie from Marion FFA. And our reserve champion goat buckle was donated by Rollo Insurance, Monica Thomas. Next up, we will have our showmanship competitions, starting with juniors, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, with a buckle donated by Producers Co-op in Seguin. Next up will be intermediate showmanship, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And that buckle was donated by Galen and Teddy Oslowski and Ernest Hartman Jr. and family. And then to conclude our show, we'll have senior showmanship, which is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And that buckle has been donated by Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC, and Heating. Please remember that if you placed with a goat and have any plans on selling that goat, you must take a backdrop photo with that goat for your buyer. Backdrop photos are back here in the back corner. Please take your backdrop photos before you leave today. If you are planning on selling your goat, please turn in the white sale card. If you've lost your white sale card, we're happy to replace it. But we need to have a white sale card for every goat that plans on going through the auction. Now in the ring is our junior showmanship competition. These are 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Lining up in the holding bin will be our intermediate showmanship, which is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Nice set of juniors. Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause. Really, really good set. You're not placed in any order. We kind of moved you around. We kind of got some people in the lead. We kind of then reshuffled the deck and got the opposite end in the lead just to kind of see how you would react. It gets down for me efficiency. It gets down to being more efficient overall from the very beginning. It's a combination between you and the animal, obviously. Ring awareness, confidence is all plays into those factors. There's about 3 or 4 that could really justify being that champion. I think we've only got one award. It gets down to the individual that was just had the fewest amount of flaws in terms of mistakes and getting those animals set right, appearing right, handling right, all those things. Outstanding set of our young people here in this 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade division. Again, our champions, just a bit better in overall presentation of that animal today from the very beginning of this class. The young lady that's second from the beginning, or second from the end here, let's give her a round of applause. Congratulations. Good job.
Our junior showmanship winner is Abigail Owen from New Berlin 4-H. Thank you to our buckle donor. For Abigail to take home today, our buckle donor was Producers Co-op from Seguin. Next up is our intermediate showmanship. This will be our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And this buckle has been donated by Gaylin and Teddy Oslowski and Ernest and the Ernest Hartman Jr. family. Now entering the ring is intermediate showmanship. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. If you have a senior showman, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade that would like to show in showmanship, they need to be in the holding arena or headed there at this time.
being smooth, being fluid, and being knowledgeable is I think, really important. Lots of really good showers in this group, a very confident group. Again, I think for me, when it comes down to our champion, just a bit more fluid, just certainly efficient, but yet not too fast, and that's extremely important. Having some confidence, making sure the animal looks right. It gets really, really close, just like it did with our juniors between first and second. For me, it's just a little personal preference on being efficient, but yet fluid, confident, and certainly there's always some things we can correct here and there, some minor things that don't go right during the class that you've got to be able to adjust on the fly. And I think these individuals in the top two holes did that. Unfortunately, we only have one award. So again, an outstanding group, an outstanding set. It gets real, real close, but we're going to split this in terms of that efficiency, that confidence, and that smoothness about navigating about the arena. The young lady at the very top of the class here, let's give her a round of applause. That's your champion. Congratulations. Good job.
Congratulations to our intermediate showmanship winner, Ava Delgado from Clemens FFA. Our buckle donors for that buckle that she'll be taking home with her today were Galen and Teddy Oslowski and the Ernest Hartman Jr. family. Our final division here today in our 2024 Guadalupe County Youth Show, Goat Show, is senior showmanship. These are our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And our donor for our buckle was Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC, and Heating. Couple of reminders. If you are going to sell your goat, please take a backdrop photo with the goat and turn in your white auction cards either here at the announcer stand while we're here. If we're not, they go to the livestock office at the back of the slab. Next announcement is goats need to be removed within 1 hour of the conclusion of showmanship. Please make sure that you load your goats, all your tack, and everything to take home so we can clean out the barn and get ready for the sheep show tomorrow. We'd like to take a moment to thank our judge once again. Mr. Zimmerman, we appreciate you coming both last year and this year, and we love to see you judge. We appreciate everything you've done for us today, and we look forward to seeing you choose our champion senior showman here shortly. While Mr. Zimmerman is completing the senior showmanship judging, we'd like to thank our GOAT chairman, Joel Frederick, for being here and for donating the senior showmanship buckle from Quarter Moon Plumbing, AC, and Heating.
No, it took some time, but I think we needed to because there's lots of really good exhibitors out here. I'm glad so too that a number of our seniors came back. A lot of times as they get older, they think I don't need to come back, and I'm telling you, every time you get a chance to get in the ring, you need to do so. You're gonna get better. You got to get better. It's a competition. You continue to hone your craft. It's important to do that because every situation, every scenario, every ring, every judge, everything's different. It could have been 70 degrees today versus 30, and you never know how they're going to react. So when you get a chance to do that, do so. Make sure that and also it gets you adapted to those animals to you. It gets real close. We worked a couple, 2 or 3 extras, just a little harder today. You're not placed in any order. We flip-flopped the script. We moved you around. We kind of asked some questions. The question deal is just more for my enjoyment to see if you know the project and some knowledge, and some things like that. I think that's important. Again, it's a compilation of everything from the very beginning. Nobody's perfect. Continue to work, continue to hone your craft. It's been a fun day judging your Market Goat Show. Again, let's give these seniors a round of applause, an outstanding set. It's been a fun day, and I'll go and shake your champion's hand. She did an outstanding job, young lady. Let's give her a round of applause. Congrats.
And our senior showman